The signs were there from the beginning, but I refused to see them. That's what happens when you're in love. Your brain rewrites reality to match your heart's desires. Tori and I met during my final year of business school. She was bartending at a place near campus, all 5'2" of her commanding attention with her quick wit and infectious laugh. We married 8 months later, perhaps too quickly, but I was certain I'd found my forever. 3 years into our marriage, after the birth of our second daughter, everything changed. Tori had been restless at home, complaining about feeling trapped and losing her identity to motherhood. When she found a substitute teaching position at the local high school, I was supportive. It seemed like the perfect solution. She could maintain her professional skills while still being present for our girls, Madison and Lily, who were only 1 and 2 years old at the time. "This is exactly what I need," she told me, eyes bright with excitement for the first time in months. "Just a little something that's mine, you know." I should have recognized that hungry look in her eyes, the one that said a little something wasn't going to be enough. But I was working 60-hour weeks trying to establish myself at my firm, juggling client meetings and childcare pickups when Tori's schedule conflicted. I was exhausted, struggling to keep everything afloat, and grateful for any arrangement that seemed to make our household function. The first real warning came 3 months into her teaching job. I'd arranged a surprise date night, my mother watching the girls, reservations at the restaurant where we'd had our first date. Tori texted an hour before, claiming she needed to supervise the evening study hall for basketball players preparing for midterms. "I'm so sorry," her message read. "Can't get out of it. The coach specifically asked for me." I sat alone at our reserved table, nursing a whiskey and making excuses to the sympathetic waiter. Later that night, she came home smelling of unfamiliar cologne, her lipstick slightly smudged. "How was study hall?" I asked, trying to keep the suspicion from my voice. "Fine. Those boys actually worked harder than I expected," she replied, not quite meeting my eyes. "I'm exhausted, though, going to shower and crash." I wanted to trust her, needed to trust her. So I pushed aside the doubts, the questions about why a substitute teacher would be specifically requested for study hall, why she looked so polished for an academic supervision, why she needed to shower before bed when she normally saved that for mornings. Little disrespects accumulated like snowflakes, eventually forming an avalanche. She'd check her phone constantly during family time, smiling at messages she wouldn't share. She'd criticize my parenting in front of friends. "Ryan's hopeless with the girl's hair," or "he still can't figure out the proper way to warm a bottle." Dinner would go cold because she was running late, with no call or explanation. "You need to help more with the girls," I told her one night after she'd missed Lily's pediatrician appointment. She rolled her eyes. "What do you think I'm doing all day? Playing around? Some of us are trying to maintain a career while parenting." "And some of us are doing both successfully," I shot back, immediately regretting my tone but not the sentiment. "Right, because your work is so important," she sneered, "pushing papers for rich clients who don't even know your name." That hurt. I was building something. Security for our family, college funds for our daughters, the future we'd planned together. Her dismissal of my efforts felt like a slap. One evening, I came home early with flowers, hoping to reconnect. I found Madison and Lily with my mother, who looked uncomfortable when I asked where Tori was. "She said there was a faculty meeting," Mom answered, not quite meeting my eyes. "Asked if I could watch the girls until 8. I checked the school calendar on the refrigerator. No faculty meeting was listed. That night, I waited up. Tori stumbled in at 11, cheeks flushed. "Where were you?" I asked quietly, mindful of the sleeping children. "Out with some teachers," she replied dismissively. "We needed to blow off steam." "Which teachers?" "You don't know them," she replied. "Try me." She sighed dramatically. "Why are you interrogating me? I'm allowed to have friends, Ryan. Friends don't usually cause you to miss dinner with your children. Friends don't usually have you coming home smelling like alcohol on a school night." "Oh my God, listen to yourself," she laughed coldly. You sound like my father." "Someone needs to be the adult here," I responded, keeping my voice level despite the anger building inside me. "And it clearly isn't you lately." "I don't need this," she snapped, grabbing her purse again. "I'm going to Jen's." Jen, her supposed best friend from college who I'd met exactly once, briefly, at our wedding. "It's 11 at night, Tor," I argued. "So?" "She lives 10 minutes away." "Call her," I challenged, holding out my phone. "Let's make sure she's expecting you." Her expression flickered. Surprise, then calculation. "My phone's dead or I would. You're being ridiculous." She left anyway. I didn't stop her, but I did something I never thought I'd do. I checked her location on our shared family account. She wasn't at Jen's apartment complex. She was at a hotel near the high school. That night marked a turning point. I began paying closer attention, documenting the lies and absences in a password-protected note on my phone. Not for the divorce I wasn't yet ready to consider, but to confirm for myself that I wasn't crazy, wasn't imagining the dissolution of my marriage. I discovered text messages when Tori left her tablet unlocked, exchanges with names I didn't recognize, explicit in ways that made my stomach turn. I found receipts for lingerie I'd never seen her wear, hotel charges on credit card statements for weekends she'd claimed to be at teaching conferences. Do you think I'm stupid? I finally confronted her one night after finding a particularly graphic exchange with someone saved in her phone as Jay. "What are you talking about?" she asked, the picture of innocence despite the evidence I'd just shown her. "You're sleeping with someone else, multiple someones from the look of these messages." She stared at me, then laughed. Actually laughed, her eyes cold and dismissive. "So what if I am? You're hardly ever here, and when you are, you're too tired or distracted to notice me." The casual cruelty of her response left me speechless. No denial, no shame, just justification, as if my focus on providing for our family excused her betrayal. "They're students, aren't they?" I finally managed, the pieces clicking into place. "The basketball players you're always volunteering to help." Her silence was confirmation enough. "They're 18, she eventually said, chin lifted defiantly. "Adults. And you're their teacher. Their married teacher with 2 babies at home." "Substitute teacher," she corrected as if that distinction mattered. "And they make me feel alive, Ryan. When was the last time you made me feel anything but obligated?" I could have screamed, could have raged and thrown things and made demands. Instead, a strange calm settled over me. "I want you out of this house." "Don't be dramatic. Where am I supposed to go?" "I don't care. Ask one of your teenage boyfriends to take you in," I replied. She scoffed. "This is my house, too. You can't just kick me out." "Actually, I can. The mortgage is in my name. Your name isn't on a single bill. You've contributed nothing financially since before Madison was born." "Because you wanted me to stay home with the girls," she argued. "And instead you're sleeping with boys barely out of childhood while our actual children are neglected. The irony would be amusing if it weren't so disgusting." Her face hardened. "Fine. I'll leave. But I'm taking the girls." "No, you're not," I said with a certainty that surprised even me. "You want to abandon your marriage? Fine. But you don't get to abandon your children and then claim them when it's convenient." "We'll see what the courts say about that," she threatened. I smiled without humor. "Yes, we will. I'm sure they'll be very interested in the text messages between a teacher and her students, the receipts for hotel rooms during school hours, the witnesses who've seen you drinking with minors." She paled. We both knew most of the basketball players were 18, legal adults, but not all of them. And regardless of their age, a teacher having sexual relationships with current students violated multiple ethical and professional standards. "You wouldn't," she whispered. "Try me," I responded, my voice steady despite the hurricane of emotions inside me. "Walk out that door with my daughters, and I will burn your entire life to the ground." 3 days later, she was gone. without the girls. She left while I was at work, taking only a suitcase of clothes and some jewelry. No goodbye to the children, no note explaining her absence. Just gone. I learned later from mutual acquaintances that she'd followed 3 of the basketball players to college 3 states away. They had scholarships. She had delusions of continuing whatever twisted relationship she'd formed with them. I filed for divorce immediately, citing abandonment and infidelity. She signed and returned the papers without contesting anything, not even bothering to ask for visitation rights with Madison and Lily. The first month after she left was brutal. The girls cried for her, too young to understand the concept of abandonment, but old enough to know their mother was missing. I took emergency family leave from work, trying to establish a new normal for all of us. My mother helped when she could, but she lived 3 hours away and had her own responsibilities. "You need proper help," Mom insisted after watching me juggle conference calls while trying to feed 2 cranky toddlers. "A nanny or an au pair, someone consistent who can live in." She was right, as mothers often are. I interviewed 7 potential au pairs before meeting Inga, a 26-year-old from Austria with a degree in early childhood education and a warmth that immediately put the girls at ease. She moved into our guest room the following week, and slowly, our broken household began to heal. Inga was everything Tori wasn't: patient, attentive, reliable. She created routines that gave the girls security in the chaos of their changed circumstances. She taught them simple German phrases that made them giggle. She kept meticulous records of their milestones in personalized journals, complete with photographs and pressed flowers from our garden. "You are doing a wonderful job with them," she told me one evening as we sat on the porch, watching the girls chase fireflies in the yard. Many men would collapse under such pressure. I shook my head. "I'm just trying not to mess them up more than they already are." "Children are resilient," she assured me. "They will remember the love, not the difficulties." Over the next year, our arrangement evolved. What began as an employer-employee relationship developed into friendship, then partnership. Inga became not just the girls' caretaker, but my confidant, the person who understood the unique challenges we faced. When Madison and Lily began calling her Mommy Inga, neither of us corrected them. They needed a maternal figure, and she had earned the title in all the ways that mattered. The first time I kissed her was on New Year's Eve, 18 months after Tori's departure. The girls were asleep, and we'd stayed up to watch the ball drop, just the 2 of us with sparkling cider because Inga wasn't much of a drinker. "For good luck in the new year," she said softly, leaning in as the countdown finished. That gentle kiss led to a deeper relationship, one built on mutual respect and shared purpose. By the following summer, she had moved from the guest room to the master bedroom, and I had begun researching the legal process for her to adopt the girls once we married. Life settled into a new rhythm. The divorce was finalized. My career advanced. The girls thrived under our care. Inga and I began planning a small wedding for the fall. The pain of Tori's betrayal faded to a dull ache that flared only occasionally, usually when something triggered a memory. A song she loved playing on the radio, or Madison making an expression that mirrored her absent mother's. Then, almost 2 years after she'd walked out, Tori texted me from an unknown number. "I want to see the girls." I ignored it. 3 more messages followed over the next week. "Please, Ryan. I've changed. They're my daughters, too. I'll get a court order if I have to." I consulted my lawyer, who confirmed what I feared. Despite her abandonment, she maintained certain legal rights. Fighting her petition for visitation would be expensive and potentially traumatic for the girls. "One supervised visit," I finally responded. "At our house, 2 hours maximum." She agreed immediately. The day before her scheduled visit, I received an unexpected call from someone claiming to be Tori's former roommate. "You don't know me," the woman said hesitantly. "But I thought you should know some things before Tori sees your kids." What followed was an illuminating conversation. Tori's college adventure had soured quickly. The basketball players had discarded her within months, their interest waning once they were surrounded by eager college freshmen. She'd spiraled, getting involved with increasingly questionable people and developing addictions that consumed her savings and destroyed her health. "She's been in and out of rehab twice," the woman explained. "This latest program seems to be sticking, but you're concerned about her motives," I finished. "She needs money," the roommate confirmed. "She's been talking about getting child support, maybe even alimony. Says you owe her for emotional distress or something." "We're divorced. She abandoned her children voluntarily. She's not getting a dime." "I figured. Just thought you should be prepared. She's desperate, and desperate people do stupid things." I thanked her for the warning, my mind already formulating a plan. When the day arrived, Inga helped me prepare. The girls, now 4 and 3, had no understanding of who was visiting. To them, Tori was a stranger whose photos had been removed from our home long ago. She arrived precisely on time, looking nothing like the woman I'd married. Always petite, she now appeared gaunt, her once vibrant features drawn and tired. Colorful tattoos covered her arms and neck, visible beneath her sundress, an attempt, perhaps, to recapture the youth she'd thrown away chasing teenage boys. I remained seated when Inga let her in, not bothering with the social niceties of a warm greeting. "Hi, Ryan," she said hesitantly. "You look good." "Let's skip the small talk," I replied coolly. "You're here to see the girls. That's it." Her smile faltered, but she nodded, glancing around the living room. Her eyes lingered on the changes: new furniture, different paint colors, family photos featuring Inga with the girls and me. "You've redecorated," she observed. "We've rebuilt," I corrected, "after the bomb you dropped on our lives." Before she could respond, Inga brought the girls in. They immediately hid behind her legs, regarding Tori with suspicion. "Girls," I said gently, "this is Tori. She wanted to meet you." "Hello?" Tori managed, her voice breaking. "You've both gotten so big." Madison and Lily didn't respond, clinging tighter to Inga. "It's okay," Inga assured them. "Why don't you show your drawings, the ones we made this morning?" They ran off gratefully, returning moments later with colorful pictures. Inga had prepared them well. They presented their artwork politely but maintained their distance, retreating to her side after completing the task. The visit continued awkwardly. Tori tried desperately to connect, asking questions that the girls answered in monosyllables, offering compliments that were met with blank stares. When they referred to Inga as Mommy, Tori visibly flinched. "They seem to really love you," she said to Inga, her smile strained. "Children respond to consistency," Inga replied diplomatically. "They know I will always be there when they need me." The implied criticism wasn't lost on Tori. An hour into the visit, I excused myself briefly, returning with a stack of papers. "What's that?" Tori asked as the girls played nearby under Inga's supervision. "This," I said, sliding the documents across to her, "is a voluntary termination of parental rights. It would allow Inga to legally adopt Madison and Lily after our wedding this fall." Her face drained of color. "You can't be serious." "Completely serious. You've been gone for 2 years. No calls, no visits, not even birthday cards. They don't know you, Tori, but they know Inga. They love her. She's been their mother in every way that matters." "I made mistakes," she whispered, tears welling. "I was in a bad place mentally, but I'm better now. I want to be part of their lives." "According to your former roommate, what you want is money." Her eyes widened in shock. "Jamie called you?" That's invasion of privacy." "That's looking out for the welfare of my children," I corrected. "Something you might want to try sometime." She composed herself with visible effort. "I'm not signing away my rights. They're my daughters." "Biology doesn't make you a mother. Showing up does, and you haven't shown up for 2 years." "I'll fight you in court. she threatened. "I'll get visitation rights, maybe even shared custody." I leaned forward. "You're welcome to try. But before you do, consider what a judge will hear. About the teacher's aide who seduced multiple students. About the mother who abandoned her babies to follow teenage boys across state lines. About the woman who's been in and out of rehab with no stable housing or employment." Her lower lip trembled. "That's not fair." "No. What's not fair is you thinking you can waltz back in here and disrupt these children's lives because you've run out of options elsewhere. What's not fair is you believing that motherhood is something you can set aside and reclaim when it's convenient. I have rights. You had responsibilities," I cut in sharply, "which you abandoned. Now you want rights without the accompanying obligations? That's not how parenting works." She glanced at the girls, who were showing Inga a tower they'd built with blocks, completely disinterested in the stranger at our table. "What do you want from me?" she finally asked. I pushed a second document forward. "This is a legally binding agreement. You waive all claims to custody or visitation. In exchange, I won't contest if you want supervised visits twice a year, birthdays and Christmas, once the girls are old enough to understand who you are. But those visits happen at my discretion, based on your stability and sobriety. And if I don't sign? Then I'll see you in court with a stack of evidence no judge can ignore. Your text messages with students, witness statements about your behavior, documentation of your rehab stays and unstable living situations, the complete abandonment of your children for 2 years without so much as a phone call." She stared at the papers, tears falling freely now. "You've thought of everything, haven't you? Very calculating. I've spent 2 years picking up the pieces you shattered. My only calculation is what's best for Madison and Lily." After a long moment, she reached for the pen I offered. "I never meant to hurt them." "But you did," I replied without sympathy. "Actions have consequences, Tori. This is yours." She signed both documents with a shaking hand. As she did, our cats wandered into the room, a recent addition to our household that the girls adored. Tori immediately began sneezing violently, her eyes reddening. I'd forgotten about her severe cat allergy when we adopted the pets, an oversight that now seemed fortuitous. "I should go," she managed between sneezes, gathering her purse and the copy of the agreement I'd provided. I walked her to the door. Before leaving, she paused, reaching into her bag to extract a small, wrapped package. "It's a keepsake box," she explained, voice thick with emotion and congestion. "For each of them. It has letters I've written, photos, things I want them to have someday. To explain, I accepted the packages but made no promises about when or if the girls would receive them." As the door closed behind her, I felt a complex mixture of emotions. Vindication, yes, but also a lingering sadness for what might have been, for the family we could have had if she'd made different choices. Inga joined me, sliding her hand into mine. "Are you okay?" I nodded. "Better than I expected. It's done now." She reached up to touch my face. "The papers? You knew she would sign?" "I hoped. Calculated risk." "Very clever. These legal documents already prepared." I smiled slightly. "Not just clever, necessary. She didn't come here for reconciliation with her daughters. She came for money, leverage. The roommate warned me." Later that evening, after the girls were asleep, Inga and I sat on the porch swing, watching stars emerge in the darkening sky. "Do you think you were too harsh?" she asked softly. I considered the question carefully. Number I protected my daughters from someone who's proven herself unreliable and self-centered. I ensured their stability. I secured your legal position in their lives. That's not harshness. That's responsibility. She rested her head on my shoulder. "Your girls are lucky to have such a father." "Our girls," I corrected, kissing the top of her head. "Our family." 2 weeks later, we received notification that Tori had left the state again, this time heading west with some new companion. The termination of rights would be processed without further complication. I sometimes wonder if I'll regret the decisiveness with which I severed her connection to our daughters. If someday, when they're older and ask questions about their birth mother, I'll wish I'd left more doors open. But then I remember the casual cruelty with which she dismissed our vows, the breathtaking selfishness of abandoning her children, the calculating attempt to re-enter their lives only when she needed something. My revenge wasn't elaborate or dramatic. I didn't need to manufacture allergic reactions or create artificial scenarios to hurt her. The most devastating weapon in my arsenal was simply holding up a mirror to her actions and their consequences, showing her exactly what she'd thrown away and ensuring she couldn't reclaim it on a whim. The true victory wasn't in the papers she signed or the tears she shed as she left. It was in the life we built from the wreckage she created. A stable home, 2 happy, thriving girls, a partnership based on respect and shared purpose. The family photos on our walls that would never include her. Living well, they say, is the best revenge. But sometimes living well requires ensuring that those who would threaten your happiness are kept firmly at bay. Not out of spite, but out of protection for the precious things they once discarded. Tori made her choice years ago. I simply made sure she lived with the consequences. And that's the end of today's story. If you enjoyed it, please give this video a thumbs up and drop a comment below. Your support helps the algorithm push my content further. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It really helps me keep creating more stories for you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.